All right, Bryson. So in today's day and age, the recruiting process is a lot different than it used to be in the past in the sense that a lot of athletes don't just solely make their decision based off of what school they want to play at or what team they want to play for. But NIL plays a huge role. And one of the things that I respected about the way you handled the recruiting process is that it was always about finding the right culture, the right coaching staff, and the right teammates. But from an NIL perspective, what would you say is the Bryson Kimbrough brand? Who is Bryson Kimbrough outside of the game?
Like Bryson Kimbrough outside of football, the small town country kid, the kid that goes outside, that hunts, that fish, that is always outside and finding something to do, finding something to make. And I feel like that's what people should think of when they see me. That's what I should reflect. That's who I should give off. And I feel like Bet On Yourself and Magnet House did a great job at that. Like you can see the camo shirt I have on, like that reflects who I am. That fits my image, and that's who I want to be to people. Like, of course, I want them to see me on the field making plays. I want them to see my last name. But much more than that, I'm the kid that has a farm back home. I'm the kid that fishes tournaments. I'm the kid that hunts in hunting season. I feel like that's what people should see when they see me every day. You're still on mute, dude.
So you talked a lot about playing for the last name, right? Kind of piggybacking off of that, man, one of the things that I love about you is how family oriented you are. So there's another Kimbrough brother that's coming up that plays quarterback, and another one that we're still figuring out if he's a wide receiver or tight end. But can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Dylan and Donnie Kimbrough, your younger bros, and how they've experienced your recruiting process and what you've hoped they've learned from watching your process?
When it comes down to them, they're my reason why I do everything, like they're the reason I want to be so good. They're the reason I want to do everything I can so they can look at me and be like, yeah, that's my big brother. That's how I'm going to do it. That's how, you know, and that's something I hope that I've installed in them, like the work ethic, the thinking, the mindset that like, I'm going to take what I can, I'm going to control what I can control, and I'm going to be the best me I can be. And I think they're really coming into that, especially as they get older. Dylan's developing into a really, really good quarterback. And he'll, mark my words when I say this, he will be a better quarterback than I was in high school. I don't know about when it's all said and done, but in high school, I think Dylan will be a better quarterback than I was. And then Dallin, if you've seen him from the time he was little to now, his mindset's completely changing. Like he's realizing he can actually play football, and he's putting the actual work into it. Like he has fun playing football. And that's something I really, really like seeing, just the development of them as players and as people. And that's who I really do it for, because in the end, those are my brothers and that's who I got. And they always got me, so I really wanted to lead the way for them.
Speaking of like brothers and family, how has the transition been for you, being away from home now at school?
It's been cool. It's most definitely been like a reality change. Like, dang, like I'm not home. I'm really on my own. But I talk to my family every day. I talk to my friends almost every day too. I still get on the game with them, and I still talk to them and just tell them how the difference is from college to high school and stuff like that. It hasn't really been any relationship changes, anything like that. If anything, I feel like my family and my friends have become closer with me because I'm not there, but we still communicate just as heavily. And it makes it all the better when I'm home. It makes those moments a little more special. But it's been a smooth transition, I would say.
What would you say is the biggest difference from like a practice perspective from your last high school season to now you just experienced your first couple of days of spring ball? What would you say has been the biggest difference?
I would say the biggest difference for me, at least, it would be the speed of the game. In high school, you play a guy who has however many offers or supposed to be this type of prospect. And you kind of, especially once you get in college, you realize, okay, he's a good player, but this is what he's like, his potential. Like he has the potential to go sign somewhere and be a really good Division I athlete. He is a Division I athlete, but he's not a polished one yet. He's one of the best players on the field, but he still has a way to go, same as me. And now it's like, I'm not playing guys with the potential that have to prove it. No, these guys have already proven it. They're playing at this speed. It's not one or two or three or four guys that I'm playing against, you know, that are playing at the level that I'm going to be playing at. Now it's a whole team of guys that are moving at a different speed. So I don't think translating football will change, like, has had much an effect on me. Football is still football. I still study the game. I still learn as much as I can. But now it's applying what I know to the speed and translating my speed to their speed and matching everything we do. But I think that's been the biggest transition from high school to college.
And, you know, since you've been on campus, what's been like the funniest moment, or have you had an unexpected moment with teammates or coaches or something like that?
I think one of the, I don't know if I call it the funniest, but one of my like best moments since I've been here is like our locker room is full of guys from Alabama, and we get into it with other guys in the locker room. We be like, people don't want to have the conversation, but the best football players come out of Alabama. And like our coaching staff, literally most all of them are from Alabama. My quarterback coach, his last high school game was versus Hillcrest at Hillcrest. So, you know, I kind of joke with him about that. But I would say those are probably the best moments I've had so far.
Love that, man. So if you could go back and give any advice to a high school player that's currently going through the recruiting process, maybe they're having a similar experience to you, right? Where those offers, they don't come in until later in your career, right? What guidance would you give to the next generation of quarterbacks coming through, to the Jordan Chambleys of the world, right? To that next high school athlete that's praying about that first offer coming through, kind of questioning their abilities. What would your advice be to them?
You know, it's really hard to say this, and the only reason I can say it now is because I'm on the back end of it. But especially when I was younger, I would always compare myself to people who had the things I wanted. Whether it was another quarterback in my class or whatever the case may have been, I'd be like, I can make the same throw as that guy, or I can run just as fast as that guy, where's my offer at? And you really can't look at it that way, because you'll start to like, you'll compare yourself to the point where you start asking, why me, why me, why me? And you really can't. You can't have that outlook as an athlete or as anybody, really. You kind of just got to put your head down and just roll with the punches. You know, you got to take it on the chin that you might not get this offer, or that you might not be ranked this high. You have to control what you can control and run with it that way. Because in the end, whether if I got 5 or 50 offers, I can only take one, and I got to make the most of the opportunity regardless. So I would say that, for one, you can't be a person who compares themselves to others. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't compete with others and try the things others are trying. But when it comes down to it, you can't say this guy is getting these offers and I'm better than him. That's not the outlook you can have. All you can say is, I'm going to do everything he's doing and try to do it better than him to the best of my ability. And whatever comes, and make the most of the opportunity you're given.
You were a guy that attended the Elite 11 camp, came into the camp without the same level of hype as a lot of the guys you were competing against, yet came out of there as the MVP of that camp, right? What are some of the camps that you'd recommend for athletes to attend? Obviously, in today's day and age, you've got to be able to separate the money grab camps versus the camps where you can actually get recruited.
Yeah.
From a quarterback perspective, what camps would you recommend? What are some of the camps that you felt like really worked for you? And then just overall as an athlete, what are some camps, clinics, things of that nature that you think would be good for current high school athletes?
For younger quarterbacks, especially, I feel like the Elite 11 Academy was a big one for me, because it was purely just a quarterback camp, and I met so many other quarterbacks where it's like, you know, it really kind of puts it in perspective that it's bigger than playing in Alabama. It's bigger than the quarterbacks, you know, in Alabama. Like, you're competing all across the country, of course, but these guys are going through similar things that you're going through, have similar questions. And, you know, I would say that's one of the big ones. But as I got older, I think Rivals and QBX would have been a big one. Under Armour next would have been a big one. Of course, you got to get invited to Elite 11s, of course, a big one for quarterbacks. But more than any of that, of course, you want to go camp and you want to get that exposure, but you have to train regardless. So I think that was the biggest thing I really had to learn, that like exposure without training is it's bad exposure. Like, you know, you got to maximize your opportunity, but you don't want to go out there unprepared. So I feel like that's the biggest thing. Regardless of where you go or where you camp at, you got to be ready to camp and you got to be ready to compete at all times.
Okay, I just wanted to ask because you said earlier, like from the transition from high school to college, it's, going against potential Division I athletes to actual Division I athletes. Have you had a moment where you were like, oh gosh, like this isn't high school anymore? Have you had a moment like that?
Yeah, I we were in practice a couple of days ago, and I got a guy ran a slant, and I'm thinking he's wide open, like the backer's way out the way. I'm like, nah, I'm making this throw, and I kind of, just comfortably sat back, threw the ball. The backer gets his hand on it, tips up, gets picked off, and I'm like, there's no way that ball got picked off. Like, he was so far away, and that's kind of what I meant by like the speed of the game. Like, I processed it all. I knew where the ball should have went, but I just thought my arm was going to be this speed, and that wasn't the case. They're all stronger, faster, longer, more athletic. So, it's kind of what comes with the game. It was kind of my, welcome to college moment, I guess you could say. But I've had my moments, so I'm here now.
Come on, man. We all have those welcome to college moments where you recognize, hey, I'm not in high school anymore, man. But Bryson, man, we're so excited just to watch you in your true freshman season. Been excited just to watching your overall maturation process, man. Seeing you go from a middle school kid who was just excited to work, man, to now being a Division I quarterback. The example that you've set for your younger brothers, I think it speaks volume to the job that your parents have done in terms of raising you and raising your siblings. Man, you make the entire city of Tuscaloosa proud, the entire state of Alabama proud. I was talking to a certain Alabama running back that you played against in high school yesterday, and he was like, "Man, when I seen Keelan Russell, he reminds me of Bryson Kimbrough." He was like, "It's like the same quarterback." And so, man, keep controlling what you can control. Just like we went through the quarterback process, the recruiting process in high school, and it took a little while for people to really recognize who you were and what type of athlete you were. Man, just continue to trust the process, and the same thing's going to take place at the college level. Keep God first, man. Everything's going to work out. But we appreciate y'all's time, man. Appreciate you coming and chopping up with us today. And look forward to seeing you ball out this year. So appreciate it.